previously on Dragon Ball Z.
Here it is, guys. The sophomore podcast episode, number 2. Man, I am so excited for this one. I'm nervous for this one. There's been so much feedback from the first one that I'm like, good grief, dude, my sophomore record better smack, you know? But man, it feels good to be back. It feels good to be here. I am very excited about today's episode. I've got a lot of visual aids for this week, so for those who are just listening, you guys might be missing out on some fun little things. But man, let's just crack into some of the goodies first. Let's see. What do I have on my agenda? Dude, let's get into some of my TGKs. I think I'm going to rip off the beginning of every episode, just start firing off my TGK journal from the week before. So, here's what I was thankful for this week. I think this is an obvious one. Super thankful for all the people who watched last week's episode and gave such kind thoughts and feedback. You guys are seriously amazing. I had so many people like text me and DM me on Instagram and comment on the video and share the video. And like, that seriously means the world. Just knowing that you guys are watching and you guys care and you're excited. And ultimately that you feel like, you know, I had one person say that like, this added value to their week, which I think is like the greatest compliment someone could give, that this thing that I spent my time doing actually like positively affected someone so much, is really just an honor and a blessing. So thank you guys for wanting to watch and for feeling so inclined to share and tell other people about it. I think that's super, super special. Ways that I was generous this week, simple stuff. Like this isn't anything big, but I was on my way to Tabletop Wargamers, shout out the homies, and I knew that I had to get some food, so I was going to stop off for a slice of pizza at Costco, but I knew that like on Tuesdays and Thursdays, there's like this group of dudes that are always there. They're like the regulars of the regulars, man. These guys are awesome, and I love spending time with these dudes. And it was a Thursday that I was going in, and I knew that those guys would be there. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to Costco anyway to get a slice. I might as well just get a pie, like a whole thing. Why wouldn't I? It's only $10 at Costco. Shout out Costco. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get a whole pizza, and I'm just going to share some of it with the guys there at the store. So I did. Instead of spending $6 on 2 slices, I spent $10 on a lifetime of memories, and took it to the store. You know, offered it to the homies, and we just grubbed and we talked about life and we shared, you know, how our weeks were going, and it was awesome. And to be honest with you, that was worth way more than $10. So yeah, it's the little things like that, you know, just being present and knowing where you're going and who you're going to see. I have kind of a snarky kindness for this week. All right, guys, I'm gonna shoot you straight on this one. This is my kindness for the week, but it's not that great, if I'm honest. I have a love-hate relationship with going and getting food, and like I'm the kind of guy that has very specific orders, which I'm fully aware is my own fault. I'm not blaming any worker for screwing up my overly complicated orders, but I feel like I had a pretty simple one. When I go to Cane's, I get a pretty usual order. Everyone subs the slaw for toast. Nobody gets that god-awful cold slaw. And if you do, you're a psychopath. So sub the slaw for toast, everything extra crispy, yada, yada. The only thing I ask at Cane's is if I'm getting it to go, I ask them to just make sure that they don't put any sauces in the boxes with the food. And almost every time they kill it. They're like, okay, yeah, totally. Everyone asks for that, apparently. It's a very common request. But for some reason last week I went, and I ordered my normal thing, and I asked for the sauces outside the box. Not only did the girl who was taking my order outside say it twice in the headset, when I got to the window, I had 2 different people come to the window and ask me, wait, so do you want because I ordered extra toast, so do you want the sauces in with the toast? And I was like, no, just sauces in their own box. Every sauce on its own box separately. 2 times they asked me that. And I was like, dude, they're for sure getting this. One person has asked me in the past and they nailed it. And now I've got 3 people who've asked me. I thought this was a shoe in for sure. Lo and behold, 2 minutes later, they hand me the bag and they're like, hey, hope everything's good for you. And I was like, yeah, thank you so much. And I usually always check right there just to be safe. Like, oh, you forgot one of my orders, whatever. So what do? I opened the box and there's all the sauces with the foods in both boxes. And the girl looked me in my eyes and she said to me, is everything okay? And I was ready, dude. Ooh, I was ready, dude. I was so ready. But you know what? I looked her in her eyes and I was like, everything's great. Thank you. And I drove off, dude. And I drove off. Momentary. Not momentous by any stretch. So, yeah. I chose kindness and I chose to not, for no reason, just rip this Cane's worker for something so small and insignificant. I just thought it was funny that 3 people asked me and somehow sauces were still in the box. Whatever, dude. Whatever. Momentary. We move on. I put the sauces outside the box on my own like an adult and went home and had amazing crispy Cane's. It's great. When you leave the sauce in the box, it makes everything sweaty and wet. And I asked for extra crispy. And if you put the sauce in the box, it's extra soggy. Whatever, dude. You make it work. So that was my kindness for the week. Got a couple week highlights, guys. I saw Dune 2, and I'm a different person. I don't say that lightly. Good grief, Dune 2. I don't even think I have time to fully process exactly how I feel about it. If you can't tell, I feel very strongly about it. But I think I need one more viewing before I can really rip into this thing and just get down to the guts of just this masterpiece of a film. So I'm just going to say, go watch it yourself. All right. Get in there, get into a cinema, watch in IMAX. It is way too loud, and that's exactly how you have to watch it, is way too loud. Man, just as loud as Lisan Al-Gaib would want it. God. Oh, what a masterpiece. Anyway, what else did I do this week? I played at a worship night at my homie's church. Shout out the Meeks. I love you guys. Connor, seriously, thank you so much for inviting me out to play. That was truly a wonderful night, wonderful experience. Glad I was able to be there and help minister to your people. I had a lot of fun. It was great. I'm so glad. To be honest with you, me and Paige don't really get a lot of opportunities to be at the same church together because I'm always at different campuses for CCV and things can just kind of be all over the place. So me being up on stage, being able to look over at Paige, just getting it was just awesome and a real blessing for me and I know for her. And it's just always a good time to see you guys. So we love you, the Meeks. You guys are the best people. And I'm super glad I got to be there. Can't wait for the next one. This was a super unexpected one. I say this sometimes and people kind of think it sounds a little sussy when I say it like this. I just have 2 very separate lives. And that's not, I don't mean that in a negative thing. I got a burner phone for my side pieces, but I work at a game store and then I do professional music stuff. And those things are just very different and those are very separate. And almost everyone I know from the game store world doesn't know anybody from the other world and vice versa. And so the few times that there's been a crossover event, Civil War style crossover event at the store is crazy. I had homie Gonzo from CCV show up one time because he knew that I worked at the store. So he came by, but he knew I was going to be there, right? This week, Matt Gunn, shout out another CCV homie, Matt Gunn showed up at the store, had no idea I worked there. I was sitting at one of the tables sorting through some cards and Matt Gunn walks in and I looked at him and I was like, hey, welcome in. If you need anything, let me know. The usual customer service spiel. And I looked at him and I was like, oh my gosh, I just was not even prepared to see someone I knew walk through that door. And so that was such an awesome surprise, dude. We hugged it out in the middle, dude, broed down in the middle of the store just a touch. It was great. And man, he ended up staying for an hour. And we talked about literally everything. We talked about work. We talked about music, marriage, family. Dude, it was such an enriching conversation. A green light, if you will, foreshadowing next week's episode. That was such a good conversation. I think we both shared things that both of us needed to hear. And I mean, we talked about everything from family trauma to marital family trauma. Some of you guys might know my wife's family situation. His family has a similar dynamic, and so we were kind of just like venting to each other and encouraging one another. And dude, it was so good, and it was just so genuine in the moment, on the spot. I got nowhere to be, he got nowhere to be, and we just talk at the store for an hour. And that's honestly my favorite moments of working at the store, is being able to have moments like that. So that was really, really cool. Super glad I got to spend some time with him. And hopefully we're going to play some Magic or some Lorcana soon. So that'll be a good time as well. Man, okay. With those things out of the way, I think it's time to dig into today's episode. So if you couldn't tell, I've got quite a bit of visuals around today. I've got the Dragon Ball Z shirt. I even have my Potara earrings on. For anyone who's a DBZ nerd, you'll know what those are. I'll try to make this as like mainstream media friendly as possible. So I'm not going to get in like the deep lore of like the origins of the legacy of Broly and stuff like that. I'm just going to talk about very like surface level general Dragon Ball Z stuff. So some of you guys might have heard, because it made like super headline news. Last week, the creator of Dragon Ball Z passed away. Akira Toriyama, an absolute visionary and a monster in the manga and anime community. Dragon Ball Z is one of the most important pieces of media that's ever existed, and a huge part of who I am as a person today. So I just kind of want to talk a little bit about that, about the effect that DBZ's had on me as a person, and the way it's kind of shaped who I am. Man, yeah, there's so many anime that exist and so many things that have made it into Western culture that would not have without Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, it's a really beautiful thing. But I got into this this world of anime and manga because of Dragon Ball Z. Excuse me. And it really all started with this right here. When I was a young lad, this exact book, this is the exact edition, exact model of Dragon Ball Volume 1. It was at my local library, and my grandma would take me as a kid, like all through the summer. I read so much, and I was kind of getting to that age where I was like kind of in like the teen section now, even though I was like 9 or whatever. And I remember that was the only like thing they had there at the time at this public library in Litchfield Park. They had this Dragon Ball manga, and you know, obviously I was like, Grandma, I gotta rent this. This thing looks amazing. I was like thumbing through the pages. So I rented this book, and dude, it just spiraled me. Absolutely changed my life. I was like, this is the kind of media that I've been dreaming of. Like this young boy from another planet who has come down to destroy the world, but has an accident, hits his head, forgets who he is, and then is raised to become Earth's greatest hero. Dude, come on. Like, talk about motivational. I'm going to talk about Goku in a little bit, because he's really at the center of this story for me. But yeah, I started out with that manga. And then when I started going to school, I was so on fire about Dragon Ball, but I didn't have any access to it. I didn't have internet at the time. So for me, it was like this elusive thing. And it was on Toonami. If you guys know what Toonami is, it's basically like teenage Cartoon Network, but that would start at like 9 p.m. or whatever, and I'd be asleep already. So like I never got to experience watching it on Toonami. So it was always super elusive. Then I found out that they sold it at Barnes & Noble and stuff like that. And so at the school I was going to, we got a star at the end of the day if we had a good day. Like if we behaved and did our work, and like, you know, the teacher didn't have to reprimand us, we got a gold star. So the deal that my parents and I had, we had a lot of deals growing up. My parents they're businessmen. So it was, if I wanted something, I had to bring them something, you know? So their business proposal to me was, if I had a 5-star week, which means I had a gold star for every day, Monday through Friday. At the end of the week, my mom would drive me down to Barnes & Noble and get me the next volume of Dragon Ball. And if you can't tell, your boy had 5-star weeks, because I got them all. I'm obsessed with these. I've read them all 100 times, and this just like catapulted me into a whole new world of fantasy, and into Goku. I mean, I have this like really janky album, and this thing is filled with like hand-drawn things, like things I traced of Goku, and cutouts from magazines and stuff that I printed at my mom's work. Like, I just collected all the stuff because I didn't really have any media of my own other than these books. So I needed to like have my own like catalog of Dragon Ball Z information that I, stuff from the shows or whatever. Yeah, man, I would go and like rent when I got a little older and I was like doing video game stuff and renting movies and going to like Hollywood Video or whatever. They had like a little anime section. It was honest to God mostly just Dragon Ball Z, but I remember this was like the first time I really got to watch the show when I wanted to because Toonami was too late. And so I would, go every week to try to find little bits and pieces of the story, but they were all scattered. Like they'd never had all of them in a row. So I'd watch like number 1, the number 6, the number 12, then 15, and then 25, like just super sporadic. But I'll never forget to this day, I still have these because I would steal them I would just not return them to Hollywood Video because they meant so much to me. I'll never forget they finally had the one where Goku goes Super Saiyan, and I had never seen that before. And I'm telling you, that might have been one of the most influential moments of my childhood, was sitting there, coming home on a Friday, popping in this VHS, and finally seeing Goku transform into his Super Saiyan form in the Battle of Frieza. That was like pivotal for me as a kid. It's like cemented in my mind that Goku, it was my hero. And I bring all this up because Goku is a very important figure for me. Growing up, my parents just worked a lot, and that's no like fault of theirs, right? They provided for me hella, so they were working a lot, and I was just kind of a weird kid, so I didn't really have a lot of friends, especially when I was really younger. When I got older, I started to get more friends, but when I was super young, it was honest to God, and I know this is going to sound sad, but I would not trade this upbringing for anything in the world. It was honestly just like me and my action figures. And I would come home every day and talk to my stuffed animals and talk to my action figures because I didn't really have anyone else to talk to. The thing I got in trouble most of at school was talking because I had no one to talk to. And so I have this is still the same one. This is my childhood best friend. Again, I know that sounds sad, but don't hear it that way. Genuinely was a beautiful time in life. This Goku action figure was my best friend as a child. I took him everywhere. The top of his hair is literally like white now because I've put him in and out of my pocket so many times. I rubbed the gold off of his hair. I took this thing everywhere. I told him everything. This guy knows all of my deepest, darkest secrets as a child. And the reality is when you kind of grow up in that situation, you are formed more by these like fictional characters than you kind of are than anyone else. And so growing up, like my 3 biggest role models was Anakin, Sonic the Hedgehog, and Goku. I owe so much of who I am as a person, genuinely, to this guy, Goku, and ultimately his creator, Akira Toriyama. I mean, Goku is the GOAT. Goku is your fighter's favorite fighter. Like, he's the greatest protagonist of all time. Time and time again, when people are backed into a corner, they call on Goku. And Goku is the guy who delivers. He's the guy, when it all hits the fan and the world is backed into a corner and everyone else is dead, this guy delivers no matter what. He just has like this well inside of him that like, if you thought he reached as far in as he could, you were wrong. He could reach even farther. If anything seemed insurmountable to anyone, it didn't to Goku. He could save you from anything. And like that was so attractive to me as a kid. I wanted so desperately to be like that for everyone that I knew. I wanted to be the guy that delivered. I wanted to be the guy that's like, hey, when it comes down to, the end of the line, I could be there. I could deliver. That was so inspirational to me, man. What's another one of the most attractive things about Goku is that he's like one of the most gracious winners and gracious losers ever. And I think about that all the time, especially being a gamer. Like, I want to be as gracious of a winner and as gracious of a loser as I can. And he's the kind of guy that would get his ass beat and thank you. Be like, man, dude, I learned so much in that. You're such an amazing fighter. Thank you for fighting me. And then he would go around and beat someone else's ass and say the same thing. Be like, man, thank you so much for fighting me. You're such an amazing fighter. I learned so much from this. Like, the dude never ran from an opportunity to get his ass beat. And that's so motivational. Like, he's the kind of guy that like taught me that you don't have to win the fight. You just have to say yes. And that is huge. That is so deep, man. And so much of who I've become as a person and what I value as a person is literally because of Goku. He's one of the greatest characters ever created. So humble, so full of life, killer appetite, just so much to look up to. And I'm just so inspired by him to this day. And yeah, I gotta have the shirt on, gotta have everything. I really wanted to show out as much as I could for this episode and just thank, Mr. Toriyama for inspiring generations of people to believe they can do it. They can do it, no matter what. Back against the wall, you can always dig deeper. And I owe a lot of my successes to that mentality. So, Mr. Toriyama, I thank you, and I salute you. But yeah, maybe in some of these other episodes, I'll talk about kind of the role that the other guys like Sonic and Anakin played in my life. The first video game I ever played in my life was Sonic the Hedgehog, and that was like my first digital media that I ever got to get into. Sonic was before Star Wars. Sonic was before Dragon Ball Z. It was before everything. But yeah, man. DBZ. I got all the books. Got my Dragon Balls. I have the super dope version of Goku that's black and white. I don't know if you guys remember these dudes. Mighty Beans? Heck yeah, dude. I have all the Dragon Ball Z Mighty Beans. This one's Piccolo. My friends Sam and Jen went to Japan and got me this legitimate Goku figure that was literally from Japan. They got that for me and brought it back, which is super sick. One of my favorite things I own. It looks so baller if you see it up close. But yeah, these are my things, man. I've got a couple other random little DBZ things here and there, but actually, there's a couple people I've talked to about this. The few people that might be watching this. This is a Game Boy Advance video. This is you put it in your Game Boy and you watch an episode of Dragon Ball. This one's GT specifically, but yeah, Game Boy Advance video. Not a lot of people know about these. It's literally a game cartridge that you put in your Game Boy and watch 2 episodes of Dragon Ball GT. Super rare. But yeah, I would carry that to school all the time, and I would watch the same 2 episodes of Dragon Ball GT at lunch every day. But well, that's the majority of what I wanted to talk about. I appreciate you guys tuning in again. I hope something in here was inspirational and valuable to you. I am super excited about these episodes, man. I kind of have my next 2 or 3 lined up. I'm pretty sure next week I'm going to talk about the memoir, Matthew McConaughey's. I know I said that last week and I was going to talk about it this week, but then unfortunately the news about Akira Toriyama came out and I figured I had to talk about this on some level. But I think, yeah, next week we're going to talk about the Matthew McConaughey memoir, and then the week after, I think I might do an episode about Avatar, potentially. The Last Airbender, not that trash blue people movie. Avatar: The Last Airbender. I know that's a really wild left turn, but man, I'm telling you, I don't know if there's a piece of animated media with more morality in it. Man, Uncle Iroh, that is a character that has taught me so much about life. And yeah, I think I'm just going to kind of dig into some of these medias and just kind of extract the good from them and extract the life lessons and just kind of share them in a really succinct way, kind of like I did with this. I think that would be a lot of fun. So yeah, it's either going to be that or maybe I'm going to do some journal readings if I can find some really good entries from my childhood journals. But yeah, I'm hoping you guys are being present in your life. I'm hoping that you guys are remembering just how easy it is to be thankful and generous and kind. Your guys' feedback and the stories that some of you guys have shared about ways that you've been thankful and generous and kind. I had a buddy text me, and he told me that he wrote, "Today I'm thankful for ... on his rearview mirror in his car, so that every day that when he gets in his car, he can remind himself to be thankful," which I think is beautiful. And that's honestly the point of all this. None of this is for the views or my glory or to say I have 1 million subscribers or whatever. This is literally just an effort to help remind you guys to be present in your life. That's literally it. And honestly, maybe that's my tagline. Yeah, I think it is. Well, guys, thanks for watching. Be present. I love you guys very much. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.